Шановні колеги, ми продовжуємо робочий день в Українському кризовому медіа-центрі.
Dear colleagues, we continue our working day in the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center. And the topic of current press briefing is as follows. Francis Fukuyama will teach Ukrainian students public administration. We have Mr. Eric Hontz, Program Officer for Eurasia Center for International Private Enterprise, CIPE, and Mr. Pavlo Sheremeta, Director of the Ukrainian Catholic University School of Management, ex-Minister of Economic Development and Trade of Ukraine. Thank you. I'm happy to be here in the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center. I appear here at symbolic moments of my life. Approximately 2 years ago, from this very stage, I stated that it was impossible to change the system alone, and that we should train people who will be the agents of changes. And today's statement fully complies with this my position. Professor Fukuyama, who has been working in the Stanford University, who's very famous figure who needs no representation. He delivers Leadership Academy for Development, and he has up to 4 such academies around the globe. He invited me to Georgia in January this year. This was a big event in Georgia in January with the participation of key public administrators, NB, central bank participants, other people, and people from all around the world, including 3 Ukrainians, had been thinking for 3 days how to, what are the current conditions in the world today. I asked a professor whether we could have such an event in Ukraine, and he suggested to have 3 such events in Ukraine. And so we coordinated this, Professor Fukuyama, and with the CIPE, the plan of 3 events. The event itself will be held in Lviv, in the Ukrainian Catholic University School of Management, and we believe that this will be scheduled rather conveniently immediately after Christmas. But in order to collect, to pick up local material, we need to prepare Ukrainian case studies like it was in Georgia. We discussed Central Park in New York. We discussed water supplies in Singapore and Jalalabad. And the most intensive discussion was about Georgian wine sector, because this is a key sector in Georgia. And we decided that, of course, we can take Georgian case about wine sector, but we can equally take the case of Ukrainian grain industry, Ukrainian agricultural sector, Ukrainian energy sector, Ukrainian cities. That is what we currently discuss with Professor Fukuyama and Kent Weaver, his colleague, and keeping in mind that during the last years, I discovered how weak is the public administration in Ukraine, and how poorly people are educated in this area. We have not more than 1-2 public administration schools in Ukraine, while we need a lot of them. So we need to have more professors, more teachers in this subject. I would like to thank to the Stanford University, to Professor Fukuyama, to CIPE organization, and to Mr. Eric Hontz, Program Officer for Eurasia, and National Fund for Democracy, the U.S. Foundation, which supports all these events. I believe that during the future 4 months, we will considerably increase Ukrainian capacity to train experts in public administration. We would prepare people who will have a clear agenda, what to do, who would have who will base this training on local cases available for some local public administration schools. I do not say that we do not have Ukrainian materials today, but we wish to produce more such materials with globally famous experts. We have received up to 45 applications to this event already. The geography is very broad, from Kharkiv to Kiev and from Kiev to Lviv. To sum up, we will have leaders with clear agenda. We will strengthen their capacity in this area. We will have good handouts and material in cases for Ukrainian public administration schools, and we will have 4 teams from Kiev, Kharkiv, Lviv, and Odessa who will master these materials, who will be able to work together with the audience. During last week, I visited 4 Ukrainian cities and found out that there are mainly civic activists in those cities which do a lot of work in Ivano-Frankivsk, in Kiev, in Lviv. And also these programs which we develop on the framework of this project are for these people. They will not just dream about reforms, but implement them. Eric, the floor is yours.
The kind introduction and the brief overview of the program. I'm glad to be here standing with you today on the same stage where you gave your resignation. When Pavlo first came to us with this idea, I really must say that I was a bit skeptical. I'm always a little skeptical of someone coming into a country, doing a program and leaving. So Pavlo and I approached Francis Fukuyama, and asked him to really concentrate. What is the most that he could do for Ukraine? And together we came to an agreement to create something that has a lasting legacy here in Ukraine. And I'm very excited to say that this is the start of creating something with a lasting legacy for Ukraine that will have an impact on this country for years to come. The preparation and understanding of government workers about their role in working with the private sector, their role in working in society, it's something that doesn't come naturally. And it's something that is just not a gift to anyone. So what this academy will aim to do is to train these government workers, to train these professionals to become better, to truly serve the Ukrainian people, to serve in their roles as catalysts for development, catalysts for economic improvement in the lives of all Ukrainians. Government has a very important role to play in Ukraine, and the private sector is already starting to play its role. And hopefully, through the course of this program, we create a network of able, talented government officials that will truly take Ukraine to the next stage of development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Eric. Дякую, колега. Дозвольте от все ж таки кілька.
Please, dear colleagues, thank you very much. And I would like to hear some specifications. Ukrainian Catholic University has the course in public administration. I have heard from Pavlo about 2 days, August 24th, 26th, and January after Christmas. Please excuse me. So the Leadership Academy is planned for January 2017, and mainly, as Eric mentioned, it will be designed for the public administration leaders, and this will be people from public sector and civic activists. In order to develop quality training materials for this event in late August, we will deliver a program for the public administration teachers from all around the country to study the materials they have, and we expect to have Professor Fukuyama on both events. Please, Natalia Petriev, Mr. Sheremeta. How many people do you plan to train during this program? When we speak about these two events, the first stage of our program, we expect to have up to 30 teachers in public administration and between 30 and 40 participants of the Leadership Academy. But I would like to emphasize this will be just the first stage because the 4 teams from Kiev, Kharkiv, Lviv, and Odessa, having been trained, in the future they will be able to hold as many events as they would wish, having at their disposal quality global materials and Ukrainian cases. Actually, they will be able to train thousands and thousands of civil servants, civic activists, and the more civic activists would pass this program, the better it will be for Ukraine. When we ask ourselves the question why we are lagging behind in implementing the reforms, we each time find the same answer. We do not have real professionals in civil service. The problem is not just the lack of the professionals, but also the problem with civil service itself. But still, our discussions with the Professor Fukuyama about 3 academies, about 3 events, I immediately said, you know, even 3 academies will be not enough. Ukraine requires more.
The concept is to not just to train a professional and to leave that professional alone. The concept will be to include that professional in a group where in the event down the road there's a relationship of trust developed over the course of the leadership program. So down the road, when this government professional is working in their oblast center and they encounter a problem and they don't know who to talk to, they don't know how to solve this problem, they can call someone. Pavlo gets these calls, but Pavlo is only one man. And so we need to develop a network in Ukraine of those government officials, of those people that are willing to do the right thing and to support one another to create a virtuous cycle in this country.
Добрий день, Анастасія Баклан, CIPE Україна. По-перше, хочу подякувати.
First of all, I would like to thank for the presentation of the project. I have several practical questions, actually maybe to Pavlo. How to apply for participation in the program, how should teachers apply, how civil servants could apply, and what are the criteria of selection and where to find these criteria. So the applications for the August session for teachers could be submitted to spm dot something. So check our website of the Ukrainian Catholic University. You will find it. There you will find the form of request, the form of application. The first deadline is already closed, but those colleagues who omitted this information can still apply, and I think we have an opportunity to accept those ambitious, those talented Ukrainian teachers. We expect to have Georgian teachers, also Hungarian teachers from the Central European University. By the way, training will be held in Ukraine. This will be one criteria, one of our exception criteria. So be attentive. For us, the ability to carry out research is important. We would like to understand the quality of research work done by our colleagues. We wish them to be based on the global sources, based on the publications from think tanks, not purely academic magazines or journals. Also, we would assess the teaching capacity of the candidates. Of course, it's not easy to assess the teaching capacity of a person. Ukraine is not so big to prevent us from understanding and from inquiring people who is a good teacher and who is not good. So we wish to involve the best teachers and the best researchers in the public administration area. As for the Winter Academy, the membership will be different. The submission of applications will be announced in September. Whether you are ready to work with the teachers from National Academy of Public Administration, or you are ready to involve teachers from other institutions. Absolutely, we will involve teachers from other institutions. Of course, we invite teachers from State Academy of Public Administration, but we do not limit ourselves with these people. Of course, it is big institution. There is almost 100 people. Professor Fukuyama comes to teach not for some limited institution. He wants to work with the country as a whole, and we are happy to involve all the interested institutions. I personally wrote a letter to the School of Public Administration from the Kyiv Mohyla Academy, who seem to be our direct competitors, but also I wrote that letter to Igor Kalyushka, who is leader of this school. We are too poor to compete in this aspect. We should bring all talented people together to allow the country to to get rid of that old legacy. Thank you very much. Since there are no further questions, thank you for coming.